Hey Desiree, checking to make sure your audio is working. Let me know if you're good.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yep, we're good to go.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. We're gonna wait a few minutes while we get critical mass for CTE directors. So I'm seeing folks joining right now. We'll just give it another minute or two. Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Chair, I do see that we have a quorum, so we can get started whenever you would like.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. So we'll start with a quick roll call. Do we need to do a roll call if we have quorum or?
Yeah, I can let you know who I see online.
Oh,
So
that'd be
we
helpful.
have
Thanks.
yourself, Chair Fromer, Director Block, Director Jones, Director Averill, Director Coffin, and then excused for today, Executive Director Shoshana Liu is attending the funeral services for our CDOT maintainer who was struck and killed in Grand Junction, so she sends her regrets. We also have excused for today Director Garcia and Director Trowbridge, and I just saw Director Blinn join, so we've got 6 of 9.
Great. All right, so next on the agenda, we have an opportunity for public comment. Do we have anyone online who would like to offer public comment?
Did not receive any requests this month for public comment, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks. Next up is the decision item, and that is the approval of the meeting minutes for our August 21st, 2024 CTE board meeting. I will make a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, the meeting minutes are approved. Next up, a program administrator update from Kay.
Yeah, thank you. So just a few things on my list for today. So I don't remember if we had posted the job announcement quite yet as of our last CTE meeting, but with the added responsibilities for CTE that will come with the oil and gas production fee revenue, we did post a job announcement for a CTE director role. The job posting closed last week. And we are in the process of reviewing applications. We will report back to the board in October regarding our progress, but excited to have some good candidates in the mix and looking forward to filling this important role. Next on the list, I am trying to kind of modify my program administrator report to more clearly reflect which revenue source we're talking about at a given moment, just to avoid confusion. So a little bit of a different format, but in terms of business related to the oil and gas production fee, last month we updated you on the startup loan process for the oil and gas production fees. The Transportation Commission did approve the loan at their meeting last week, and you'll be asked today to approve the loan as well. So once we have the revenue source from this loan, we can really get to work on the administrative preparations for the new cash funds that were established in SB 24-230, the new grant program criteria, the formula, all the exciting things. So, prior to having this revenue, we were limited to really doing only de minimis work to get us to this point. And I know that there's a lot of folks who are anxious for us to get started. We are as well. So once we approve the loan amount today, we will have a way to charge our time to that revenue source and really start digging in. And I guess I'll pause there. Any questions on the oil and gas production fee topics? All right, so in terms of the retail delivery fee business for the board, I did receive a late breaking news item this morning, so I apologize that it's not on my bullet point list here. But as you know, we did submit a decision item to the Office of State Planning and Budget, or OSPB, to adjust the Clean Transit retail delivery fee to a continuously appropriated revenue stream as opposed to an annually appropriated one. And we received notification this morning that OSPB has accepted the decision item. So that means that it will be sent with the governor's budget request on November 1st. The Joint Budget Committee is then going to decide if they would like to create legislation for the decision item. So I think, summary, we've cleared the first approval. We're approaching the next one. We'll continue to keep the board posted as we move through the process and hear more news. But in general, that's a positive outcome and what we were hoping for when we brought this to you in June. So. In other news for retail delivery fee, we will be covering today in the meeting some planning work related to the next round of the Transit ZEV planning grants. And then we also have a final bit of business to attend to related to the capital award decision that we had last month. As the board will recall, we had segregated out 2 of the recommended awards upon discussion last month, pending an eligibility review by legal counsel. That review did determine that the awards were in fact eligible. That decision was communicated out via email to the board the next day. The board didn't have any further questions. So we were, comfortable moving forward. Unfortunately, after the meeting, we discovered a typo in the dollar amount of that amended motion, the motion that segregated out the 2 awards in question. Talked to legal counsel about that. It was clearly the intention of the board to proceed with funding all the eligible awards that were recommended. It's not the board's fault that my staff had a typo in that slide, so my apologies for that. It was just a typo in the dollar amount. We did proceed with the award announcement as scheduled. But we would like to have the board approve that corrected motion today to just be 100% covered on the board's approval of the capital awards for the full dollar amount. So the corrected motion is on the next slide for your consideration. Essentially what we're doing is we're reverting back to the original motion prior to when we segregated out those 2 awards and had the dollar amount discrepancy. Those 2 awards have been determined to be eligible, so it's appropriate for us to just move forward with that original motion. Again, just dotting the I's and crossing the T's that we have the correct amount. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I would invite the chair to request a motion.
Okay. Is there any discussion or questions about this proposed motion? Just running the numbers in my head, I think it does add up to 15 million. So feeling better about the math this time. Not seeing any hands. So with that, I will move for the Clean Transit Enterprise Board to approve the 2024 capital awards as detailed in the award recommendations memo and based on the recommendations of the scoring committee enterprise staff. Includes 1.5 million in program funds for 1 facility project, $384,000 in program funds for 1 infrastructure project, and $13,116,000 in program funds for 9 vehicle projects that will result in 28 vehicle purchases.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. With that, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, motion has been approved.
Thank you. That was all that I had.
Thanks, Kay. Thank you, Kay. Now we're going to kick it over to Kay, Cassie, and Sam to give us a enterprise financial update.
Hello, I'm Kay Ruska. I'm the enterprise controller. And on your screen right now should be the CTE budget to actual through August. As you can see, collections are approximately at 1.7 million for the quarter, and then also staff time is the majority of the expenses for this fiscal year as of right now. And I will turn it over to Cassie for budget update.
Hi, this is Cassie. And I think actually Sam is going to provide an update on the revenue. Sam, are you on?
Yep.
Excellent.
Sam Foster, budget analyst in Office of Financial Management and Budget. And here's an update of our revenue forecast slide. We've got the same forecast for this current fiscal year 25. The update to the chart is of August revenue, about 918,000 collected. And then we've traded out our numbers for FY24 for the first forecast for next fiscal year, FY26, and we've got that now at 12.6 million. And then below that is the same oil and gas production fee forecast as was included in last meeting's slides. Now we'll move on to the next slide. And here's the updated table of the current cash fund status. Same year-end cash balance for fiscal year 24, and then the same adopted spending authority as last time. The number that's changed is the cells in the middle. Cash balance as of the middle of last week, we're now at just over 21 million. And now I'll move into an update on the loan, as Kay Kelly mentioned earlier on the next slide. Just kind of where we've been. Staff developed an estimate of the startup costs to present to the Transportation Commission during their August workshop. And then in the August meeting, the following day, they approved the setting aside of 600,000 from reserve for the loan. And then, as you may recall, this board in the meeting from last month approved the loan amount. And then what's kind of happened recently, last week during the Transportation Commission September meeting, the commission approved the loan agreement. And so now next step, the loan agreement has been included in this meeting packet. And now it's being presented for final approval and signature at today's meeting. So we're able to answer any questions, but if there aren't any, I'll turn it back over to Chair Frommer for the decision item.
Thank you, Kay and Sam. Are there any questions about the loan from the CDOT Transportation Commission? Seeing none, so I will make a motion. I'll move for the Clean Transit Enterprise to accept the Transportation Commission loan of $600,000 for startup costs relating to Senate Bill 24-230. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, motion has been approved. The next presentation is from Kay Kelly and Emily Crespin on our upcoming CT planning grants.
Great, thank you. Back to me. We're flying through the agenda today. So a little bit of background on the importance of zero emission vehicle transition planning. So we know from experience that agencies with transition plans tend to be more successful in their zero emission vehicle transitions. The transition plans show that they've done some analysis, worked through some of the hard questions, talked to their utility, anticipated some challenging situations, considered how they would mitigate that, and just generally ensures that they've done some degree of due diligence before jumping right into a ZEV purchase, which tends to be quite expensive. So the CTE capital program evaluation criteria does include a consideration for how much agencies have planned and done an assessment of their own readiness, because we think it's really important for the successful deployment of a zero emission bus. So that's included in our evaluation criteria. The Federal Transit Administration Low-No program also requires a fleet transition plan for similar reasons. And in general, it's just a really proven method to help agencies go into projects with their eyes wide open, with both the internal and external support they need to be successful, and with some mitigation and forethought on how this whole process is going to work. So on the next slide, so our CTE rules do state that we're going to coordinate our calls for projects with standing calls for projects from CDOT's Division of Transit and Rail. If you remember back to the very early days of CTE, this was a request from the transit agencies during our startup phase for all of the zero emission transit portfolio grants to coincide with those consolidated calls for projects from the Division of Transit and Rail to ensure that they weren't unduly burdened by having to submit multiple applications to multiple different grant programs on different timelines. So that is kind of set up and rule that we follow that cadence. The Division of Transit and Rail typically issues 2 of these calls for projects each year. One call is that admin, operating, mobility management, and planning call for projects. That's the one that includes our CTE planning grant opportunities. This one's typically released sometime, summer or fall, and it funds the following year of projects for, admin, operating, mobility management, and planning. The second call for projects we do annually is the consolidated call for capital projects. This is where our infrastructure, facilities, and vehicle grant opportunities are included. This is the awards that we talked about at the August meeting, and we just kind of redid the motion for at this meeting. That call for projects last year, I suppose early this year, went out kind of winter, spring timeframe, and we expected probably be similar for fiscal year 24. So looking at round 2 of our grants, we have 1 from each category already under our belts. For round 2 of the grants funded by the retail delivery fee revenue, we're anticipating that the planning call is going to be released in late fall of this year. And the next capital call would be released kind of in that winter, spring timeframe of 2025. So on the next slide, we've just got a reminder that we did fund 4 planning awards around this time last fall. These grants do tend to be smaller dollar amounts than the capital awards, but again, very worthwhile in terms of increasing the likelihood of project success for those capital grants. So those are the 4 that we awarded last year. On the next slide, did also want to call your attention to some additional resources that are available to transit agencies in addition to our CTE planning grant resources. So these are other opportunities that transit agencies can tap into for assistance with zero emission vehicle transition planning, with technical support, with kind of operational issues, anything that comes up. So the Joint Office of Energy and Transportation, this is the office that was established to help with the NEVI and IRA and IIJA programs. So it's staff from both the U.S. Department of Transportation and the U.S. Department of Energy that collaborate in this office. They have 2 programs. The first is a free technical assistance for transit agencies program that includes ZEV transition planning assistance. So this is kind of a, reach out as you need help, and they'll point you to the correct resource. They'll provide a technical expert to help you answer whatever pressing question you have. And that's just kind of their free technical assistance program. They also have a Clean Bus Planning Award program. This one is aimed not just at transit agencies, but also at school bus fleets as well. It's managed by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. And this program connects fleets with technical experts to support specifically the transition planning for bus electrification. So the team did a little bit of research on this. Technical or the Clean Bus Planning Award program has assisted 40 agencies, transit agencies across the US so far, none from Colorado yet. They do have a rolling application process. And then once you get accepted into that application process, once you complete your transition plan, that transit fleet gets up to 3 years of assistance with their actual deployment. So if they run into any early adopter issues, NREL is on call to help triage and correct any of those challenges that they're facing for the first 3 years after the plan is made. So, so interesting, really helpful resources. I bring these programs up mostly just for awareness that it's not just us doing this, there's other folks as well. And if transit agencies find one of these other programs to be a better fit, I think we're concerned that they have a plan. It doesn't necessarily need to be funded by us, but we're happy to be a resource if they need funding from the CTE for that. So in terms of next steps on the next slide, so as we're looking at that second round of planning grants, the staff is currently reviewing the grant requirements and the scoring criteria that the board approved for our first round, just to assess, whether anything was confusing, whether they found, any tweaks that they think would be helpful to make the process clearer or move more smoothly. Don't know that there's anything that would rise to that, but just kind of doing our due diligence and making sure that everything is still sound in what the board has already approved. So they're going to report back to the board with their assessment of kind of how the first round went. If they have any suggestions for clarifications or changes that need to be made, they will bring those to you for your input and approval before the next notice of funding is issued. And then I think the other thing that we're interested in doing is, working to really promote our planning grants with transit agencies, along with these other resources that I mentioned from the joint office, so that, transit agencies know they have a variety of options available to help them make sure that they have a transition plan in place that would help them qualify for our capital grants or the FTA grants as well. The staff is also going to be developing a tracking sheet of which agencies in Colorado have plans, which agencies are in the process of developing plans, just to really help us kind of hone in on who might be interested in applying for one of these planning programs in fiscal year 25 or beyond, so that we can really kind of be out in front of the transit agencies, making them aware that this is an option. So I don't have a decision item on this topic this month, but open to any feedback or questions the board might have, and just kind of letting you know that we're continuing to move the ball forward on this. And as kind of the grant cycle goes, right, as soon as we issue one round, we're already thinking about the next round. So just bringing this to you for discussion and consideration if anyone has input.
Thank you, Kay. Have any questions from the group? I'll just say I was thinking about this idea of a tracking sheet, and then of course you had it on a slide already, 10 steps ahead of me. I guess one question with that is, do these fleet electrification plans have like projected electric or zero emission bus procurements for each year, and like can we collect that data to inform the CTE enterprise, the size of it moving forward? Like is it going to be adequate to support the fleet transition and cover the incremental costs over time? Is that the type of information we're getting?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think those transition plans really do look at, what routes are most apt to be transitioned to an electric vehicle on a certain time horizon. So I think there's certainly the opportunity to mine those plans and start gathering some data that can help us with our forecasting. So yeah, I think, step one, let's figure out who has a plan. Let's reach out, see if they'll share them. And then I think that's something that we'd be interested in doing. We've also been discussing an update to our transit zero emission vehicle roadmap, which was kind of one of the documents that I think that was published in 2020 or 2021. I'm not remembering exactly, but it is on the resource page of the CTE website. But that was one of the documents that helped us kind of inform our initial estimates. And look at the calendar. It's already 2024, so it's probably worthwhile to take a look and see if any updates need to be made to that kind of larger roadmap document that would again help us better plan and allocate resources for CTE.
Great, thank you. And maybe you've done this in the past, but I think it would be useful for me at least to see an example of like a gold standard of a fleet electrification plan, just to get a sense of type of information we have in there and the analysis. So I don't know if you want to email that to the board directors at some point. Maybe just a few examples, that'd be really helpful.
Yeah, the other option we might also be able to do is to have a transit agency with a a recently completed transition plan come on and kind of walk through what that process looked like, what's included in their plan. But yeah, we will see what we can find, share those resources with the board, and potentially schedule a presentation so that if you don't have time to read a lengthy transition plan, someone can kind of walk you through the highlights.
Great. Okay, and that's the final slide for Kate's presentation. You can go to the next slide. Maybe after this one.
Yeah, we are already at the end of the meeting, so appreciate everyone getting together. I think we had a couple of administrative things that needed to be handled this month, so it was a rather short agenda. With the funding in place to support our oil and gas production fee work now, we expect to start digging into that more comprehensively in the coming months. We do believe, I think I alluded to this, at our June and August meetings, that this will result in us returning to more of a monthly meeting cadence, similar to what we were having when we were doing startup activities associated with the retail delivery fee. I think the next meeting is likely to occur the week of October 21st or early the week of October 28th. We'll get a scheduling poll out and get the date posted on the website for folks from the public who would like to join and observe the meeting. And those dates are going to be important for October because we have some budget items that are going to require the board's approval next month. Specifically, we have to go over the draft fiscal year 26 budget for CTE that needs to be included in the November CDOT budget. The Transportation Commission then needs to adopt the proposed CDOT budget, which will include our budget that's approved by the board in November. And then we have until February to completely finalize things, but we do have a deadline associated with establishing our CTE budget by the end of October. So look for a meeting poll and that information, but probably the week of October 21st or early that week of the 28th.
Thank you, Kay.
And I think we'll give you, an hour of time back today. So whenever like to entertain a motion to adjourn, we can just appreciate everyone's time, and we'll talk again next month.
All right. Any other questions or final thoughts from the group? Okay. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.